I mean, one of the things you see at the beginning of Operation Market Garden is that we do our own paratrooper drop.
Here they come. 1, 2. Chutes deployed, everything's good.
What we don't reveal right away, of course, is the fact that I jump out of the plane.
Once they landed, there was one particular paratrooper I needed to meet up with.
You did it!
Oh. That was the scariest and most exhilarating thing I've ever done in my life.
Our paratrooper drop was really to honor the 35,000 men who dropped on landing zones like this all through this area during Operation Market Garden. It wasn't about me or my experiences doing it. So what I wanted to do was give you a sneak peek behind what I went through to be able to jump out of that door. I never parachuted before. National Paracentrum.
After you, sir.
Thank you. Jumping out of a plane with a parachute, throughout my life I've never really wanted to do. It wasn't on my bucket list.
What's in store for me?
Well, we're going to prepare you for your first jump, of course.
We teamed up with a great parachute company just outside of Arnhem.
And that jump will be over an original World War II drop zone. But before we reach that point to drop you from an airplane, we have to train you. And we have to train you thoroughly.
These guys were awesome. And without them, I couldn't have done it.
Wait, listen. What have we got? This is the main parachute, yes? Mm-hmm.
What added an extra intensity to this paratrooper drop is that I was doing it as a World War II paratrooper exactly the way they did it in 1944 during Operation Market Garden. So I'm jumping at a low altitude at about 2,000 feet. I was going to be on a static line. This is just like they did it in D-Day and Operation Market Garden, where the paratroopers are, hooked onto a line. Once you jump out of the door, the line gets extended and your parachute opens automatically. But we also were using World War II style round canopies. Now these were a little bit more sophisticated, had slight turning ability, but you still came down harder and faster. So it makes the landing very difficult.
Okay, this is a classic. So it's an old Russian Antonov.
The guys jumped out of what they called Dakotas, and they were the same planes that were used during even D-Day. At this airport, just outside of Arnhem, one of the guys had this old Antonov.
I mean, I wish we were jumping in the Dakota, but we just couldn't get a Dakota in here for the show. But this is the next best thing, so it'll be quite an experience.
Position in the door. So your left foot is your leading foot. Yeah, 2 inches is enough.
2 inches like that?
Yeah. Your right foot, trailing foot over there. And just the palms of your hand against the skin of the aircraft. The only thing you have to do is pop, jump out, and we'll cover that later. But this is the position in the door. Okay, you can come out.
Not bad from 3 feet up, but there we go, my first jump.
I truly didn't know what I was getting myself into.
Yep. Oh, it's comfy. And then we take away door. There you go.
Tilt down. Tilt down.
Yep. Okay.
But they put me into a harness and taught me the body positioning and what I would do when I first jump out of the plane.
Stand by.
Stand by.
Go!
1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. Checking parachute. Everything seems good, unless you want to give me a problem.
You have a line over. A line over your parachute.
Get prepared to reserve. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that thing is going to shoot out. So this was something that they trained me over and over and over again. 3,000, 4,000, 3,000, 4,000. Check parachute. The other thing that they had to train me on was how to land. Now this was probably the most physical because I was on a 3 to 4 foot platform.
Cool.
Had to keep falling because I did it over and over and over. I fell and flopped, I fell and flopped, I fell and flopped.
Yeah, excellent.
The other thing he showed me was if you land and the parachute stays, open, it can drag you along the landing zone. So he showed me how I could flip on my back and then you move your head and you call riser, and you basically take the riser off here, which then collapses the parachute.
Thumb through the ring. Riser! Pull. Yeah, it's off.
I didn't know at the time, but this was maybe the most important lesson that I had to learn.
Last piece.
See, I have a big head, so.
What you don't see, of course, in the show at all is it's not just the training. Weather was
Maybe you can help do this
miserable
right?
during the couple of days. It was on and off raining. We had a lot of storm fronts come through. So when I got prepared and I was finally prepared to jump, we didn't know if it was going to happen that day. So for a novice like me, the waiting game only increased the intensity and how worried I became. We were planning to maybe come back on another day, and then what happened was the skies kind of opened up, and all of a sudden, you know, the guys at the parachute club said, okay, we're going. I mean, this is where it got really intense. I mean, even now thinking about it, I get chills because I was so worried. So, I mean, when the plane took off, you know, it's just, I got more and more anxious. I mean, I was excited, but I got more and more anxious. Because of rules and regulations, there was a number of things. We couldn't have our own cameraman in the plane, just because it's so tight, and the only people in there was the jump master, Martin, and the guys who were jumping with me, and of course the two pilots. So that's why we put a couple of GoPros inside the plane, and we had, I think, 4 cameras mounted around the plane, just like this one right here. I mean, when I see the images of me in the plane, you know, it just brings me back to the anxiety that I was feeling, the nerves, the excitement. I think the thing that really played on my nerves was just the low altitude. I mean, when you look out the window, and then when they opened up the door, we were not very high. Now, we were jumping from about 2,000 feet. It's important to note that the soldiers on the day were jumping between 500 and 800 feet. So basically, they jump out of the plane, parachute opens up, they land.
Get ready! Get ready!
And then all of a sudden, he just turned around and said, stand up.
Stand up! Stand up!
And we hooked our lines on. And we had to go through all the checks. And
Check static lines! Check static lines! Check static lines! Check equipment! Check equipment! Okay! You're okay! Free okay!
And when they said it was for real, you instantly see how intense I get.
1,000, 3,000, 4,000!
I start calling out 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and I'm doing it, I'm screaming, and I'm moving back and forth. There was a part of me that said, Wayne, don't do this. I was faced with this moment very soon where I was just going to throw myself out of a perfectly good plane. But, you know, it's the other part of me that believed, okay, all these guys are doing it. And I thought, you know, I'm well trained. As long as I relax, I'll be able to do this. Then, of course, they started moving forward. And the lead guy jumped out. And then second. And then there was a pause because they didn't take the seats out of the Antonov. I was a bit delayed, so you see 1 jumper, 2 jumper, and then there's a pause. And then all of a sudden, I just literally went forward and I threw myself out. But I must say, I jumped out and I kept my eyes closed. And I went 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. And I looked up and I saw that beautiful, beautiful parachute. And that's when it became fun. I mean, you hear me roar. And that's just joy. That's all the training, all the anxiety, everything was released because at that point it was beautiful. Now, the one thing you have to realize is that I didn't jump with a GoPro. The rules are very, very strict in Holland. And if I jumped with a GoPro or a small camera on me, they could have lost their license. So the actual image from, say, the jumper's eyes and looking up at the parachute, that was the guy behind me. But you know, when I look at that footage, that's exactly what I saw.
Yeah, he's right there. You got him?
And then all of a
drifting to the
sudden,
right.
as you get closer to the ground, that's all you're thinking about. It's like, okay, where am I going to land? Am I going to break my leg? And then you see the shot of me coming down, 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 down. I get my legs ready, and I think you know, and I could just tell when I was coming down that I wasn't going to land on the grass. I actually landed on this dirt road, but it's soft. Woo! And right when I hit, I knew I didn't hurt myself. I popped right up, but then you can see right away that my parachute was not collapsing. That's where my training really came in handy. I walked a few feet with it thinking, okay, it's going to collapse, and it didn't. I just went on my back, did the exercise where I turned my head, put my hand over here, called riser, and pulled it. Riser! Man, I mean, at that point it was euphoria. Oh, I just can't believe I did that.
Welcome to Holland.
Absolutely went perfect, man.
What an entry. Way to go, you
Just
did.
went perfect. I was so scared coming out that door. But once, you know, I just kind of closed my eyes, counted, looked up, and the parachute was beautiful.
Fantastic.
Then there was a very special moment when one of the guys came up to me and,
Wayne, I want to give you something. Great job.
in honor of me succeeding in my jump,
Thank you.
As a
he gave
memento
me
that you jumped with our
a
group,
patch.
I will give you our group badge.
This means a lot. I mean,
It does.
it was so intense the last couple of days. Thank you. I feel like I'm one of you.
You are one of us. You are now
Thank you.
one of the members of the Airborne Brotherhood.
I'm gonna keep this. This is very special. Very, very special.
It was just a remarkable experience and one that I'll never forget, but at the end of the day, it was the greatest opening of a war junk show that you could ever imagine.
I survived! I survived!